Welcome to the Lessons for Living television program. My name is Bill Santos. Thank you so much for watching us. Now, if you've been watching us for a while, you know that you'll know my guest. Joining us today on the Lessons for Living television program is Dr. David Sloan. Dr. Sloan, welcome.
Great to be here,
Actually,
Bill.
welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be here.
You were on the program before, and I have to tell you that those programs were some of the best responses ever to from the programs that you were on. So thank you for that.
Well, it's gratifying. Health is a huge topic today.
Yes.
There's a great deal of interest, and it's very rewarding work that I'm doing. I'm very blessed.
Well, we're so thankful that you accept our invitation to come back. Now, for the benefit of those that may be meeting you for the very first time on the program, could you give us just a quick bio on who you are, what you do, where your clinics are?
All right. Well, I'm a doctor of natural medicine, and we have two clinics, one in Whitby and one in Simcoe, Ontario, which is south of Brantford. I've been in full-time practice for 36 years, lost count, actually, and have been very blessed over the years to have been able to help many, many people by God's grace.
And just before we get into it, just someone that may want to contact you, you have a website. What's your website?
Yes, our website, new website actually, sloannatural.healthcenter.com, and visit us there. I think you'll have a good time, lots of good information and so on there as well.
And I'll make sure we put a link on our website to your website also. So, well, let's get into our topic, because I want to maximize your expertise here. And as we were preparing, we decided we would talk a little bit about hormones, and but maybe before, and whether there's an imbalance in hormones. But for the benefit of someone like me as a layperson, I'm not even sure I understand exactly what a hormone is or what it does. And so maybe before we get into talking about whether they're balanced or not, what is a hormone, or what does it do?
Well, hormones are just basically chemical messengers. They send messages to the cells, or deliver messages to the cells. They're produced primarily the endocrine glands of the body, and they meet up with receptor sites in the cells. They direct the cells what to do. The cells actually do the heavy lifting. But think of the hormone as a manager and the cells the employee. The manager is directing the employee what to do. The cells are doing the job that they're supposed to do.
Now, is it just me, or does it appear to be that there's a lot more focus on hormones lately than there has ever been?
Yeah, there has in the last 5 to 10 years. So I've been specializing in this area as part of my practice for roughly 8 or 9 years now. In the past 5 to 10 years, the information and the knowledge and the understanding of hormones has grown significantly. And because of that, we're understanding the connection between hormones and our many different symptoms that we suffer from, but even more than that, connection with different diseases. For example, many breast cancers are the result of hormonal imbalances. Many of the different things that men and women experience, cysts and tumors and different things like that in the reproductive areas, are hormonal imbalances. So there are many things that we didn't know about 5 to 10 years ago that we know now, and the implications are dramatic, because hormones have such a deep underlying effect on everything that we do and everything that we are.
Again, I'm a layperson. You're the expert. But does this hormonal problem, this imbalance, I would think it would tend to happen later in life. Is that when it would appear? I mean, both for men and women, maybe later in life?
Yeah, I mean, primarily what we, most people understand is that, particularly, let's say, women who are coming out of the menstrual years into perimenopause and menopause, this is when most, of the most severe symptoms can just hit the wall. And but the actual truth is that you can have a hormonal imbalance from early on in life. So, for example, when you think of young girls who are starting into puberty and menstrual periods, having all kinds of symptoms, all kinds of what is termed premenstrual syndrome or PMS. And these symptoms are actually hormonal imbalance.
Oh, interesting.
So all the way through the menstrual years, with all these symptoms of bloating and fluid retention and backache and cramps and different other symptoms, these symptoms are simply hormonal imbalance. So we take that right up to menopause. The hormonal imbalance issue can be found at any age in women. Men, we really don't know as much about what's going on with men, except for the fact that we know now that there is such a thing as menopause or andropause, and we know that hormonal levels decline as men age, and we know that there are some implications there, and there's definitely more of my patients now are men. More and more men are coming in for help because they understand that hormones are definitely playing a part in their lack of, vitality, stamina, and other problems.
Interesting. We're going to get back to the men problem in just a second, but is there something that maybe a woman that's watching, a symptom that would indicate to her that she may be experiencing a hormonal problem? Is there testing that can be done? Or?
Yeah, good questions. First of all, we talked about the premenstrual syndrome. So if a woman is suffering from premenstrual syndrome, then that is definitely hormonal imbalance. As we get into sort of that transition phase that's called perimenopause, so it's kind of between the menstrual and the menopausal years when periods stop, there is a number of symptoms that are very common: hot flashes, night sweats, dryness. And so those symptoms are some of the more prominent ones, but there are many others. When we get into the emotional realm, we have anxiety, we have depression. In fact, one of the things that we know now is that many women are misdiagnosed for depression when they actually have hormonal imbalance.
Wow.
And so when that occurs, there is a huge amount of antidepressants that are being prescribed, but they are prescribed erroneously. So we have the emotional symptoms, we have insomnia, we have brain fog, can't remember things very well, can't think to put words together in sentences, just that kind of cognitive dissonance. Then there's the aspects, the more physical things we talked about, the hot flashes, the night sweats. We also have, as we mentioned, the dryness in all different parts of the body. We also have lack of enthusiasm, no initiative, lack of libido or sex drive, thinning hair. The list goes on and on. There's all kinds of symptoms.
Now, those are pretty common symptoms. Are you saying, is this as widespread as it? I mean, it seems like it sounds to me like it's a pretty widespread problem.
Yes. Well, the thing is that we can have symptoms, but we cannot diagnose it until we have some testing done.
Got it.
And so there are two main ways to test for hormonal imbalance. One is blood tests, and the second one is saliva tests. Now, I prefer, particularly initially and every so often, to do saliva testing for hormonal levels, because blood, even though it's good and it's a benefit, when you measure hormones in the blood, they're inactive. When you measure hormones from a saliva test, you're measuring those hormones as they are being activated upon in the body, and how your hormonal levels are actually working in the tissues. So the saliva test becomes the real roadmap that I use to determine hormonal balance or imbalance.
So it's like a snapshot of what's happening right now, hormonally.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Now, why are women more susceptible to hormonal problems?
Well, I think it really boils down to several or more decades ago, women started to take more of an active role in the workplace. But still they needed and were required at home to look after the kids and the family and the home and so on. And I just think that the levels of stress have increased so much more for women. And stress plays a part on our, well, on everything. But in our endocrine system, when we look at the glands involved, we have the adrenal glands, which are our stress glands,
Okay.
amongst many other things, but they respond to stress on the front lines, and the hormone cortisol is produced, and cortisol creates a lot of changes in our hormonal balance. It suppresses the production of progesterone, it suppresses testosterone, it can suppress estrogens, it can create weight gain, and that's another symptom of hormonal imbalance. And so the end result is that the transition through the menstrual years and into menopause becomes much more traumatic because of the stress and the hormonal disruption and changes that, that normally should take place smoothly but just don't.
So if a woman is watching right now and suspects or knows that she is hormonally imbalanced, is there a way to correct that, or is there, like, what do you do?
Well, certainly there are ways to correct that. Typically in the medical profession and up even today, hormonal replacement therapy is offered, or HRT. What I do from my side of things is we approach it from a natural standpoint. So we're looking at creating an optimal diet and lifestyle, and also using natural plant substances, herbs, nutrients, and so on, to help to get that body back into balance and to create this freedom of symptoms, just to smooth things out. I do find, though, however, that many women and men are needing, in addition to that, bioidentical hormones. And that'll be...
Okay, yeah, so what's a bioidentical hormone?
Okay, so a bioidentical hormone, just think of the word human identical. Bioidentical hormones are exactly the same as what the human body produces in the amounts that are very similar to what the body produces, as opposed to...
A synthetic hormone?
As opposed to a synthetic, which is a different format, okay? So the cell and the receptor cells, the receptors in the cells recognize the synthetic, but there's something just a little bit different about them in their chemical makeup that creates side effects. The bioidentical, being that they're exactly the same as the human body makes, does not create side effects, but is accepted just exactly as our own hormones that we produce are accepted. And so when we look at the saliva test and the balance, we look at the areas where hormones are really depleted, and then we look at supplementing them with the natural bioidentical hormone.
And this might sound like a silly question, but where do you get bioidentical hormones from? Like, where do they come from?
That's a very good question. Oh, they're basically from plant sources.
Oh, is that interesting?
Soy, wild yam, different things like that will allow those elements to be extracted and processed in a way that the body can accept it and be utilized perfectly with great safety, I might add.
It's fascinating. So once this imbalance is corrected or stabilized, is there an ongoing sort of maintenance that has to occur to keep it within that balance?
Yes. One thing that people may, and this is a misconception, may think that hormones, let's just say when you reach menopause, that hormones stop. The actual truth is that we're hormonal beings from the day that we're born until the day that we die.
Okay.
It's just that they change,
right,
and the levels change and adjust. So what we're really trying to do is to get the hormones balanced for the age and stage of the individual. We're not trying to make a person a 20-year-old or 30, much as maybe they might want to be.
Right. This is not the fountain of youth, right?
No. But it is anti-aging to a great degree.
It is anti-aging.
Very much so. Because if your hormones are in balance, that creates such a wonderful environment for the rest of the body that you tend to age much more gracefully. You tend to have a much more quality life. Hormones, I mean, we can't get into it with the time we have here, but they just have such a profound impact on every aspect of our being. And this is where it's become more and more important as we gain knowledge in this area.
Now, so you are very much in support of the bioidentical
Yes.
versus the synthetic. And if someone is interested in learning more about that, they can contact you through the website.
Absolutely.
Or,
yes.
or through us, and we'll get a hold of it. Now, I've noticed, just, I listen to Sirius Radio in my car, and a lot more advertising for testosterone for men. I don't recall years ago hearing.
No.
And it's, when you listen to those ads, though, it sounds like it's the cure-all to everything. What's your opinion on this imbalance in men?
Well, it's a really, really good question. This is definitely a phenomenon that's happening and is becoming more and more recognized. And whether or not it has been something that we've become more aware of in the last while, it's hard to say. But there is a phenomenon that is going on, and that is the estrogenization of society. And I don't know if you've heard of that before. But basically, because of and due to the huge amount of xenoestrogens, those are chemical synthetic estrogenic compounds that are in our environment due to pollution, industrial and agricultural pollution. We as a society are becoming estrogenized. So we're in touch and in contact with so many of these different substances through our food and water and air that we take this on. Our body accepts it. As I mentioned earlier, you can take a synthetic estrogen, your body, your estrogen receptor sites will accept it.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with this. So we're all taking on more estrogens because we're exposed to them. And so as we gain extra or elevated levels of estrogen, that suppresses testosterone. And so we have an imbalance because we have too much estrogen, not enough testosterone, and then this creates all kinds of symptoms in men and women, of course.
So is the most common therapy then, just increase the testosterone levels?
We can't do that just, carte blanche, because it can create more and more problems.
Okay.
There is a process that's called aromatization, and what that means is that through an enzyme called aromatase, testosterone is converted into estrogen. So if we have aromatization going on in a male, then if we give testosterone, that testosterone will be converted into more estrogen.
And it becomes even worse.
And just compounds the problem. Now, it can go the other way too, and without getting too complicated, just very quickly, testosterone can be converted to dihydrotestosterone, so it can go two ways. And neither way is good. So we want to maintain that testosterone. So we have to carefully work with our male patients to be sure that they can increase their testosterone by correcting adrenal gland fatigue or exhaustion, proper lifestyle and exercise, proper diet. These are the things that you want to work with first. When we've exhausted all of those and we're still not getting the testosterone levels we need, then we can safely use the testosterone, provided that in the testing the levels indicate that the testosterone is low.
Again, it might be a silly question, but is there a way for your body to get rid of the excess estrogen?
Absolutely. By and large, what we recommend two things. First of all, to lose weight or lose body fat, because it's the fat that's creating the estrogen. The second thing is we can use natural herbal products that will help to move estrogens out of the body safely, and at the same time, certain exercises that will promote the production of testosterone in the body. Very quickly, those are exercises that use the largest muscles of the body, so the legs and the chest and so on.
So in your practice, you can give a complete plan to someone to help them with this. So you're not just addressing, oh, here's a bioidentical hormone. It's a complete
plan.
A complete plan, lifestyle change.
Many doctors have been prescribing testosterone to their patients, but they have no idea what they're doing.
Right.
And to me, this is just malpractice. It's really not good, and it's not safe, and it needs to be done properly. Remember, these hormones are steroid hormones. They're very, very powerful, and you don't want to mess with them unless you have good reason to.
Yeah, sadly, as a society, we want a quick fix, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we'd like a pill just to resolve that. But I mean, I think once again, you're reminding us that lifestyle change, and that we can have that health. But it does take a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of motivation, right? I mean, it's just not going to come from. It's not going to be a simple solution. Never
usually is, and you're right. People are looking for the simple solution. I try to explain to people that, health is earned. You work, it's like anything else. You want to do well at something, you need to put some effort into it. Some of the things that we do really make dramatic changes, very dramatic. For example, I'll have a patient on progesterone, and they'll come back within a few weeks and just say, I just can't believe how much better I feel. But what we need to do is to fill in the important things that go along with that. Say that's part of your makeup, but we have to make sure that we address these other things because we want you to stay that way.
Right.
And we want you to remain healthy and enjoy that quality of life.
So for a viewer, a man or a woman that's watching right now and suspects that they may be in this situation with this hormonal imbalance, what next steps would you suggest to them? What should they be thinking about, or maybe even doing right now?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, go on my website, sloannaturalhealthcenter.com. I have a quiz on there for men and women.
Oh, okay.
And if they just simply do that quiz, that will direct them, guide them to the next step, which would be to find someone who works along the lines that I do to help them, first of all, get tested, and then make the recommendations necessary to help them get back on track.
How widespread do you suspect this problem is?
Well, judging by my practice and what I'm seeing, I would say it's becoming more and more widespread. Simply because stress levels have not changed. In fact, I think they're getting worse. The environment and the estrogens in the environment are significant and becoming more so. It's becoming more of an issue all the time. I think that because of the fact that there are so many different things that are going on, that it is something that definitely should not be ignored. And quality of life, enjoying life through the menopausal years is something that can be done without suffering through all those years. And I might add through the menstrual years as well. So many different hormonal imbalances. Another one's infertility. There's another one. I didn't even bring that one up.
Wow.
But there's just so many.
Well, they'll have to. We can talk about that on a. We're going to have you back because this is a fascinating topic, and a very widespread problem. And thank you for what you've been doing to help alleviate so much suffering. We've come to the end of the program, and as we normally do, we like to end with a word of prayer. Yes. Our gracious God, loving Heavenly Father, thank you so much for people like Dr. Sloan, that you have given this knowledge and this wisdom and this desire to minister to so many people that are suffering. Father, I think of those viewers that are watching us right now, a man, a woman, a child that is just going through difficulties physically, emotionally. Father, just bring comfort and healing into their lives. Give them the direction, the steps to follow. Because we know that your desire for us is that we live life and we live it more abundantly. And so, Father, just touch them and speak to them and draw close to them right now. Bless each and every viewer, I pray, in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, we've come to the end of another Lessons for Living television program. Let me thank you for joining us. Let me thank my special guest, Dr. Sloan. Thank you for being with us and for providing such valuable information.
It's been great to be here, Bill.
Well, thank you. We're going to have you back real soon again. I want to remind you of the Lessons for Living television website, l4ltv.com. On the website, we'll have a link there if you need to get in contact with Dr. Sloan. We also have all of our previous programs. You can look up the programs we've done in the past with Dr. Sloan. They've been very popular, wonderful information in those programs. You can find out where I'll be appearing live, and you can make a donation to the ministry online by credit card or by Interact debit. You can also visit our missionnowcanada.com website, which is our overseas mission work, if you'd like to join us on an upcoming mission trip overseas. They're telling me I'm all out of time, so we have to go. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you. Hope to be back with you again real soon.